Hello, everybody. It's 6:55 p.m. Central Time, 13th of June, 2024. It's Thursday night here in the United States. Hope you're doing well, and I'm jumping on here to actually record an update. We're going to get this out and likely upload it over on YouTube when I'm done here, live on Twitch. So let's just get a display capture turned on and show you what we're looking at. In case you're not aware, we're on the Earthquake 3D program. You guys, I don't get anything for recommending it, but I do recommend that you have something like it. And we're looking at about the last 48 hours worth of earthquakes. USGS reported, as well as Geophone Potsdam and out of Australia. Now, I wanted to start off with Australia because we are 2 weeks late on the rare earthquake. There it is, guys. We are within the magnitude of what we were looking for to strike. It took 2 weeks beyond what I was looking for, 14 days. And here we are, 14 days later, and the rare earthquake struck right here in the middle, in between our two previous sets. You see them marked in a pinkish color here on either side, and how this earthquake is sandwiched in the middle, in between these. These were the two previous spots 2 weeks ago that were moving over in West Australia and Southeast Australia, and we said to watch in the middle there, and it would break. Okay, well, there it is. It took 14 days longer. Why? Well, first of all, it's a rare location, but it took another push to come in across the plate, and that happened over the course of the past several days. You can see those marked in pink. So really, we got a 3.3 to 3.5 up on the northwest side. We got a 3 to 3 point something down on the southeast side. We got a swarm on the southwest side, and then it finally broke in the middle. So check it off the list. Again, it took 2 weeks longer than normal, but we're talking maybe once a year or less. Maybe every few years it might move there. So to get it down in 2 weeks, I'm actually pretty happy about that. Okay, now let's talk about what we're looking for in the West Pacific. We're on watch for 3 different large earthquakes. So far, so good. We're about a magnitude under at each location so far. We're not peaking up at that 6.5 level. Instead, we're at 5.5 level at each location to the south. Up in Japan, we are 2 magnitudes under. We're at 5, and we're looking for this to go up to 6.97.0 in the middle of all this. We're getting down to the last end of the warning. A 10-day watch was issued 6 days ago, so we still have 4 more days to go in the watch. However, we're getting down to the end. 4 days more to go means we have to watch for 4 more days in Japan in particular. The other spots are moving, but like I said, they're a magnitude under, which is good news. It means I overestimated last week as to what I thought the deep earthquake activity was going to be causing this week. So if we're within the magnitude, which we are, again, if you take all these and add them together, a 5.5 here. If you take these, you got a 5, 5.1, 5, 5. Add them all together, we get 5.5 at each location. Once we get up to the north, we take a drop down instead of a step up. So far. And if I get back on in 4 days and the earthquakes haven't hit, so be it. I'll go back and readdress the method, not issue a new forecast until something else happens that tells us what's going on. But anyway, it looks like it's going to be hitting. The way I'm looking at it here, this is a lot of activity for 48 hours across the West Pacific. It is. The number of earthquakes, we've seen more. And the size of the earthquakes, we've even seen bigger magnitudes across the board. But it's just a huge area to be moving on a 5.0 basis in a day and a half, 2 days, to go from all the way up at Kamchatka, at Alaska, Kamchatka, past Japan, all the way back down to Fiji. That means, of course, a large area is moving. And then only thing missing now are big earthquakes in between, are deep earthquakes. It's the only thing missing from this forecast now. The other spots have started to move, by the way, in case you didn't know. All the way down at our letter X's down here, right at Point Nemo. Strike that off the list if you were keeping track of areas we warned. And several days back, boom, this happened. Check off South Sandwich Islands, and the letter X got hit directly twice. Once here and once here. So both X's got hit there, and then a further struck out where the arrow points out to the east by, east by northeast, even though that's south. United States is moving, but we don't have large earthquake activity yet. Instead, we're swarming across the plate. So we have swarms out west over at Utah. We have swarms down in Texas. We have swarms going on up to 3.3 at North Texas, going into the Oklahoma border. We have a cluster. I won't call that a swarm yet because there's not 10 earthquakes. I consider anything at 10 or more earthquakes in a spot or a little area a swarm. So this is a cluster. What's the difference? A matter of a couple earthquakes. So we're clustered out in Oklahoma. We're swarming in Texas. We're swarming back in Utah. We're swarming going back up to the northwest. Every little spot where there's a stack of earthquakes is a different swarm location. So we're swarming on the west coast as the wave is coming in. Going across the plate, we have the earthquakes from a couple days ago, which I don't need to add to anything on this. The power generation location down at Georgia is being hit again, next to the power station. The lake and the power station, big hydroelectric dam is there. There is a new addition up in northwest Colorado, though, that we should go look up. So let's go check it out. Maybell, Colorado, at 5.5 kilometers deep. There is something up here nearby that I need to show you in northwest Colorado. This is on the edge of the craton. There we go. Earthquake epicenter there. And you see what we have marked on either side? See how it says frack well? Zoom in. There we go. Tanks, pumps, jacks, pipelines connected between these different pads that are out here. And the pads, each one has a set of tanks, pumps, and we can even see the shadow of the jack of the pump there for, I guess they're doing oil at that location. Anyway, we got a large fracking operation here. It goes out across the hillsides and mountaintops. It looks like this one's been shut down. You guys got to remember what happened here a few years ago right next to this spot. Well, there's a nuclear waste disposal location here. See this? What's the name of this place? Hold on. Wait, why don't we have a name on it? It's not like it's hidden. This is public knowledge. Why is there no name on this? Google's place marks and everything are turned on. Look. Hold on. The Maybell UMTRA site, the UMTRA site, whatever that means. That probably stands for something. All right, so Google doesn't have a place mark on it. They're not identifying it. But the Google Earth community, people have come in and identified it and put it on there because Google's not. Wow. All right, well, anyway, we got a fracking operation. The drill point's right next to it. No, nothing go wrong there. Nothing could go wrong there. Up at Yellowstone, we have the same sized earthquakes. So we have a little series, well, what is that, 2 earthquakes at Yellowstone? Meanwhile, look what's going on down here at Utah. Now, did you know there's something else there at Utah? A giant fire has broken out next to this location in Utah, which we're going to go look at the weather here in a second. But first things first, let's go show you what's at the earthquake epicenter. Then we're going to go look at the weather satellite to show you the big, huge smoke plume. Smoomplok. Almost said that backwards. So we've got a bunch of farming going on here, and then we have geothermal wells and wind farms going here as well. So there's a little bit of everything going on right here. Geothermal pumping operation at Minersville. We have some volcanoes that are nearby over on this side, which is where the geothermal's coming from. This is Crater Knoll, for instance. Crater Knoll is and there's a basalt fissure on the side where it broke out a long time ago, lava. Anyway, Cinder Crater Volcano is the one that's actually marked from the Smithsonian, and Mineral Mountains Cove Fort Volcanic Field is the technical location for all of these. So, Cinder Crater, and right next to it, earthquake, and our geothermal pumping operation, and farming going on there, and wind farm electrical generation, all going on in the same spot. Geothermal electrical generation, wind farm generation, we've got drill points there for the geothermal, we've got volcanoes there nearby. Now, that being said, fires broke out nearby this location. Let's go look it up over on College of DuPage. Oh, this is here in my location, by the way. We're going to talk about this in a second, but let's jump over and open up a new screen so we can just go look over in Utah and show you the fires there. So we're going to look at visible, and we're going to, hopefully this will show it to us. This hopefully will show last night. We'll have to look at a regional view here. So Utah is right here. Let me make sure that you can see this. Right here, and we're going to try and look last night. Ah, dang it. Okay, 200 images is just a little bit older than last night when the sun set. Let's see what we got today. There we go. So right here in southwest Utah, which I will now zoom in on. Right Oh, now we have 2 fires there. Now we have 2 large fires. Yesterday was just 1. Now there's 2. Look at that. Look at the huge smoke plumes there. And I'm talking about this right in here. I'll turn on our fire view, which will identify the smoke just ever so slightly better. Just, you can see the red, maybe see the red specks identified with the infrared. That's a false red, of course. That's just from heat signature. But there it is. So 2 large fires there. And you see there's the mountains, of course, on either side. And let me get even a closer view if I can get it. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. So we can actually identify where the fires are in relation to the earthquake swarm. So let's do that. Let me turn off all of this gobbledygook. So, just as a point of reference, this grayish area next to the tannish colored area, that'll be probably the easiest to identify on here, which is right here. Here's the tannish colored area, here's the grayish colored area, and then we have a U-shaped basin down to the south, just so as a point of reference so we know what to look for. So tannish area, grayish area, U-shaped basin right here. Spry to Osiris. No shit. Okay. Oh, God. You gotta be kidding me, man. Really? Of all the freaking places, right? Okay, anyway, all right. So Osiris. Going from there to Osiris. And earthquake swarm is just north by northwest of the mountain range here. So U-shape, mountain range, U-shape, mountain range, earthquake swarm, fire at the top of the peak right next to where the earthquake swarm is taking place. Literally. So the fire is taking place at the top of the peak. Earthquake swarm is happening over in the basin next to it right here. So this peak here is burning? Or is it this peak here that's burning? Let's go find out. One more time. Earthquake swarm is... Let's go to Google Earth. Earthquake swarm is there. It's the greater peak next to it. Okay, all right. So it's this peak next to it. This is burning here. Mount Belknap, Mount Baldy, and Mount Belknap. Let's turn on our places and see what we've got for volcanoes around it. So we've got Crater Knoll. We've got Cinder Crater. What's over here on this side? This Boulder Mountain Volcano, Thousand Lake Mountain Volcano. There's nothing in between the two. Okay, all right. Well, again, I mean, come on. The odds of this, come on, having this huge stack of earthquakes that we don't normally see. We don't normally see Utah with the big stack like this. You normally see this out on the West Coast at the volcanoes on the West Coast. So I'm just going to say it. We're right next to the volcanoes. Most likely the cause of the swarm is the same reason that the other volcanoes are swarming. That the wave is going across the plate. It's catching there as it's coming in from California. California, it's been just going gangbusters with number like 4s, 3s, swarms, but no huge earthquakes yet. We're looking for a 5.5 in Southern California. We're down to like the last day of the watch. Tomorrow's the last day. 7-day watch. So far, no. Southern California, like a 3 or something. So we're looking for up to 5.5. And if we get to the end of this week and there's nothing, I'm going to be very, very shocked. We got a day and a half to go, basically. Like, I always give it another half day just because of international time and me issuing the forecast on day 1 and that kind of stuff. I don't count it day 0. So when I issue a 7-day warning, it's technically going from the night of when I issue it till the night of whatever day it expires on. Anyway, it's a matter of hours. So we're watching till tomorrow for Southern California. West Pacific, we have a few more days. It was a 7 to 10 day watch in the West Pacific, and West Coast was 7 days. What else is going on? Well, I mean, the spreads of earthquakes are going right up into Alaska. It's right on our doorstep. You can see it. A bunch of 4s and 5s going all the way up and around and literally stopping on our doorstep at the United States, at Alaska. Then there's a big open area where we're waiting for this to strike. Then on to our south, everything moved as expected. Went down to the X's, I already told you about it. The only thing I haven't talked about now is Central America, which moved on all sides of the plate boundaries as expected. You can see it. It's like a triangle of earthquakes there. That's all sides of the plate boundaries. Longtime viewers know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to show the plate boundary map now. Or maybe I should, but I don't want to get people too desensitized over and over again showing you the same thing. Over to Europe we go, and we go across Asia, and you can see it's a stepping stone path of 4s going to upper 4, 4.8, 4.9 across one side and the other. 4.9 on one side, 4.8 on the other. They're about the same size. We get over to Europe, and 4.8 to 4.9 struck today last night, right down in South Turkey, right next to the Isle of Rhodes. Next stop on this should be a division of earthquakes. 4s should return back to Italy, south-central Italy. Whatever happened to Campi Flegrei? I'm asking. It was like poof, it just disappeared. Like, I don't know. They moved a bunch of people out. Everybody was worried about a supervolcano eruption. Then the seismic stopped. I told you guys a couple weeks ago. It looks like maybe every time the new wave is coming in, I found something down here in South Italy. It's well. Look, I told you I tell you whatever the truth is, no matter what it is. I don't care how much crap I get in or whether you believe me or not. I'm going to show you, and it's on you guys. So I was looking down here trying to figure out why there has not been an eruption right here at Campi Flegrei. Why the seismic wave has been directed there, though, instead of going up the plate boundary, which goes up this way. You can see it, mountain versus basin, the green versus the tan. That's the edge of the plate boundary, and it goes up and around and makes a bend and up here and dead ends into the Swiss Alps. Anyway, the plate boundary goes down here, and it connects back down to Greece. Well, right where they meet, there's been a redirection of the flow that goes, instead of up this way, it's going over this way. So there's something right here that's redirecting the flow, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. And, well, look, I'm known for finding weird things that are ancient from a long time ago. But in this case, this one takes the cake, all right? Here is Italy, all right? I can't believe I missed this for this long, but it is there. This is real. What I'm about to show you is really there. It's ancient and weathered, but it really is symmetrical. Now, you have to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a star fort or a bastion fort, which has pinnacles on all sides. And these are structures that are made a long time ago by people that are like castle-like or city-like. They might be the size of a city or a castle. Now, this is 6,000 feet tall all the way around, basically. And it spreads out in all sides, which one side looks like it's maybe been weathered down a little bit more, but the other three sides are very, very obvious now and stand out. It's not just a natural shape in light of what I found around the rest of the world. If I hadn't found what I found around the rest of the world, I wouldn't have found this. And what's directing me to this? The earthquakes that struck next to it several years ago, right out here, that redirected the flow into central Italy previously. You've got to remember, years ago, a series of earthquakes struck right here, going west of the Ionia Range, which is in Greece, out here into the plate boundary. When that happened, all of a sudden, we started to see a huge increase in the number of earthquakes and the size go up into central Italy and dead end pretty much right here at Norcia in the Abruzzo Range. Now, down to the south, there's this thing. And this thing is an ancient bastion fort of some kind. But it's 5,000 feet tall, it's made out of mountains, it's symmetrical, it's 6,000 feet high, and somebody a long time ago made this. Now, who had the ability to make things that were that tall that far back? And you say, oh, there's no such thing as that. Well, let me show you another one. Here's Spain and Portugal. Portugal's over here on the right side. This is the whole country of Spain. Gibraltar's up on the northwest side or the left side. And this here, with the pinnacles coming off of it, this is a 1,000-foot rise from the basin up into the mountains here. That's not from, they didn't clear that out from trees being cleared from farming or something. This is actual mountain range, okay? This thing. And this is the classic bastion fort shape, but there's a problem. We're told that Spain and Portugal invented the bastion fort. But this is the whole country. The mountains themselves, everything has been sculpted in the shape of a bastion fort. That's the entire countries of Spain and Portugal. And at the center is Madrid. Now, you might say, okay, well, what? Well, here in the United States is the same thing. Off the tip of it, we have one that's blown out. This was wireless power transfer a long time ago. And we have Florida on one side and Nunavut sticking out on the other. They match. They correspond to each other. And at the tip of Florida, right here, is an old starfort, bastion fort, with the pentagonal shape off each tip that we're told was built during the Civil War, which is a BS cover story. And that's out at the tip of that one. The other one's up at the Arctic Circle. We'll never know what's up there. Mexico and Alaska correspond to each other. This is North America itself. Now, look at Europe and Asia. India corresponds to Russia. And Saudi Arabia, over here, corresponds to the Arctic out here at the North Pole. They're the same shape. They're the same distance. They're symmetrical to each other. India and Russia. Saudi Arabia and the Arctic Circle. The fracture zone does a perfect match, like it's a mirror image. Scandinavia, over here on the right side, matches to Turkey over here on the left side. And they both have bodies of water on either side of them. Italy matches the UK, and Ireland matches Sardinia. And then we get back up to the tip of it here. And there's Spain and Portugal making up a bastion fort. But wait, look, it's a giant pyramid. And it connects to the smaller pyramid here, which is the United States. And the United States has the tip off the one, just like next to it, right here. And then the third one is the Deal Sealer, which is South America's the smallest of the three pyramids, if you want to think of it like that. 1, 2, 3. And South America is doing the same thing, but it has a bend around each side. One going down to the South Sandwich Islands, the other bending around and going out to the Caribbean. And then you can see it in the Caribbean. A perfectly sculpted rectangular shape of an old port that used to be there, that's built alongside of this plate, on one side at least. And that is sculpted. It's 5,000 feet deep. And then this connects back down to Antarctica. And Antarctica is a giant 5-sided pentagonal shaped plate all the way around, just like what I showed you in Spain and Portugal. But this one is 6,660 miles long from back here, where for some reason they've decided to come and put a bunch of ships over this volcano in particular and just measure the heck out of it. But I'm going to measure from this volcano that they've taken all this time to go out in the middle of the ocean. It doesn't even have a name on it. We're going to go straight through the South Pole, and we're going to go out to the very tip of this thing. Up here. Right there. See how it's 6,663 miles long, give or take 2 or 3 miles? From the volcano, and it goes right through the South Pole. And the curvature of the Earth is, on Google, is interfering with me drawing the straight line straight through the South Pole. Otherwise, this yellow line would actually bend a little bit and go through the South Pole and come out at the tip there. But, I mean, it's curvature of the Earth. It's 6,660 miles long. It's a 5-sided pentagonal starfort shape. Now, wait a second. That's Antarctica now, the whole plate of it. And look where it points. It points to the north, right? And it points and it connects into this thing. Looks like an avenue. And look where that connects. It connects into the side of the first plate, where it then comes out to a pinnacle there, connects to the second plate here, connects to the third plate here, and connects back into it here, where it shoots back out again. You'd have to tell me it's chance or coincidence that this 5-sided plate-shaped thing is showing up all over the place. And before you tell me it's natural, we're going to go over to the United States, and I'm going to show you the military is involved with this, and it can't be natural because they built a military base into the ones here in the United States. Now, that same shape that I just showed you down in Antarctica is right here, built into the United States. It is 300 miles long, from the Grand Canyon at the back out to the tip at the San Andreas. See? 300 and something miles. This is the San Andreas right here at the tip. You see it. It comes down through California and comes out to the tip of this five-sided starfort shape. The Grand Canyon is blown out on the backside of this five-sided shape. And I told you the military's involved, right? You see the line, how it goes right through the middle? Look what's in the middle. Edwards Air Force Base is in the middle of this thing. And on this side, over here, is Area 51 and the nuclear test sites. Let me see if I can find. Here's all the nuke sites, all the craters, and here's Area 51. Area 51 and the nuke sites are on the right side, and parallel across is 29 Palms military bombing range for the Marines and training base there for the Marines. So you got 29 Palms on one side. You've got Area 51 and nuke test sites, both bombing ranges on both sides of this thing. Out in the tip of it is Edwards Air Force Base, and on the back side is the freaking Grand Canyon. And it's five-sided, it's symmetrical, and it's the military's involved with this. That's this one. The next one is a little harder to see. It's a little bit more weathered. It contained an ancient ocean that is still leftover remnants back here at Salt Lake. So, like, blown out on the backside over here of this five-sided one with the military base in the middle is the Grand Canyon. This one has Salt Lake blown out on the backside. And what's at the tip of it? Another military base. And this one's the Army. And they have a bunch of underground ammo depot bunkers at this location at the tip of this second one, which is also 300-something miles long from back to tip. Three. Again, I'm not doing a perfect measurement. Again, it just depends on where on the back you measure from. If you measure from back here, it's like 400. If you measure from right here, it's 350. But so that's two of them, and we have a military base in the middle of this one at the tip. All right. Now there's a third one, and it's much more easy to see than the one in the middle. It's over on the right-hand side, and it comes back to two different things. There's a crater here, and then all the way at the back side, the back right side of it here, guess what this is? This is Lake Yellowstone right here. See, Yellowstone Lake. This is Yellowstone National Park on the backside. So this one's got the Grand Canyon, this one's got Salt Lake, and this one's got Yellowstone. All three of them have something on the backside that's blown out. What's in the tip of this one? Well, what do you see? Right here. Looks like some kind of base, doesn't it? Let me turn on our places and so forth. Look what's here. The Facebook and Apple data centers. Facebook and Apple data centers are at the tip of that one. Now let's recap. Just because, again, this proves that people are involved, that they know about this, that it's not just some natural shape. So we've got military base in the tip, and Area 51 on one side, and nuke sites on one side, and marine bombing range on the other of this one, and Grand Canyon on the backside. We've got the Sierra Army Ammo Depot in the tip of this one, and Salt Lake City on the backside of this one. And we've got the Facebook Apple Data Center, a giant crater as yet unnamed, I've never seen anybody identify, and well-known Yellowstone on the far back side of it this way. That's three of them. Each one's 300 miles long, and they're part of the old ancient plate that was built by people a long time ago, apparently. When I say people, it's up for question. Now, there's one more. This one's the mind blower that most people are just going to be just shocked that they missed their entire life as they're looking at the United States. So here's the U.S. as we would normally look at it, and we zoom in, and let me turn on our favorite states here. Pick your favorite state as a point of reference. I would suggest you remember Missouri, because what I'm about to show you. So one more time, there's Missouri, there's Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Now look. St. Louis is back here on the right side. Kansas City is out here on the far northeast side. Tulsa, Oklahoma is out here at the tip, and Little Rock, Arkansas, the capital, is over here on the left side. And New Madrid seismic zone in the town of New Madrid is right here at this bend, right there. Okay, just as a point of reference. This thing is five-sided. This thing is, guess how many miles long from the backside out at the Cahokia Mounds out to the tip out at Muskogee, Oklahoma is where this is. This is Of all the freaking places. Muskogee, see? Muskogee is at the tip, and then you have Tulsa right next to it. But we start at the Native American mounds back here, right across the river from St. Louis, which are right in here. See where it says Fairmount City? Right next to Fairmount City are the Native American mounds. They also have the golf course and the racetrack. Okay, anyway. So this thing is 300 miles long, starting back at the mounds or back at just at the river and going out to the tip. It's 5-sided, and guess what's in the middle? I won't make you guess. Fort Leonard Wood. Fort Leonard Wood Army Training Base. So now we got the Marine Training Base out on the one on the West Coast. You've got the Army Ammo Depot in the tip of the other one. You got Area 51. You got the Air Force Base. And now you've got the Army Training Base here at the one in Missouri in the middle of it. And in the very middle of it, the very center of it, they flooded it. Made the lakes. Table Rock Lake, right? They dammed it up and flooded it at the very middle where you would probably have the entrances to get into whatever this ancient thing is. They put the Army base back on the back side of it, but right here. Okay, I mean, come on. So, 5-sided, 300 miles long, and it points in a certain direction. It points to the southwest United States. And we can just go right through the middle of it and measure out and see where it points. See? It's like a giant arrow. And we'll take it out to the coast. That looks like it's going through the middle somewhat, doesn't it? And we're just eyeballing it. We're trying to get it. I mean, if it's like a compass arrow or something pointing us in a direction, where does it take us? Well, it takes us down here to the... But look where it takes us. It takes us to the weird underwater bathymetric measurement spot that was called a UFO base by all the weird people. And they said it was a mistake from some kind of underwater bathymetric measurements, but then they went back and measured again, and there's actual 200-foot mounds down there. 5,000 feet under the water, and something's coming out there. Look. It's coming out in that exact, where this thing is pointing in the Midwest. It points straight to and comes out at that. It's just too weird. When I saw it, we just couldn't believe it. I mean, because it was a topic of UFO discussion and weird stuff. It's already online, that thing that I just showed you down in the water. I didn't find that. Somebody else found it. It's like marked on Google Earth and stuff. When the thing I found in the Midwest points to it, oh, dude, you got to be kidding me, right? So that's just the quote-unquote tip of the plateberg. There's much more to show you in regards to what the plates are doing, but this gets back to the whole update. This gets back to the earthquakes in Italy. What redirected the flow? Let's go back and look again. We come up. We go across the plate boundary, we get into Italy, and it built into the south side of where the plate boundary is, an ancient bastion fort to receive the energy, maybe? It's redirecting the flow. Look which way it points. Let's bring it back due north. Look. It points this way. West by northwest. So if we have a wave that's coming in, do you see down here how it makes a hard edge? We have a wave that's coming in this way. And it gets right to here, and this thing is redirecting it. It's going to redirect it to the west-northwest, up towards the old Cyclops houses at Sardinia. If you guys don't know, Sardinia has all these huge megalithic structures on it that were said to contain where Cyclops giants lived, and they would eat you. Seriously, I'm not kidding. It points right to it. It really does. Like, you could just draw a straight line through this thing, and it points right to, boom. Anyway, one other thing I'd like to show you that I found out about Europe that was just mind-blowing to me was what was built into the plate in Germany that I missed for many years, but now I found, and it's indisputable that it's there. It, too, is about 300 miles long or so. Depending on where you measure from, it's almost exactly 300 miles on this side and on this side, give or take a few miles. But I just thought it was weird that because, you know, this is the Swiss Alps right here. Switzerland. Here, hold on. See? Swiss, Austria. But then you got this thing right there, and then you got the snake, or what looks like the snake or the dragon built into the plate there. I'm starting to get suspicious starting to get a little suspicious about this stuff, because stuff like this, it's just too weird that they have the pyramid symbol and that they worship the pharaonic in Switzerland. In case you didn't know, the secret societies in Switzerland worship like the Egyptian style. So they got Horus, they've got the pharaoh, they're really into it. They trace their lineage back. They call themselves pharaohs and stuff. It's the Swiss Octagon. Is the secret society of secret societies that nobody knows about. Anyway, the Swiss Octagon, to find this right there, I'm just telling you, that's not an octagon shape, that's a pyramid shape. But just to find that built into the plate there, it's just too weird. When I say built, I mean it. I mean it. They were able to sculpt and shape plates somehow, maybe with cymatics and extremely powerful wireless power of some kind, that they were able to vibrate these shapes up out of the plate somehow. But it means that someone a long time ago had the ability to do this, and it's just mind-blowing, right? Like, you couldn't tell me that this shape is natural on top of this shape being natural on top of the one over the United States being natural, and then have the military base in the middle of each one. That, to me, is the most bizarre thing, and they have the Bastion Fort cover story from Spain, you know, oh, they just chose it because of arrows and line of sight. It just doesn't make sense in light of what I found now. So the earthquakes are what led me to these discoveries on these ancient forts in particular, which are, do you want to even call them a fort? These ancient plates that were constructed by someone or something a very long time ago. There's no way that that's natural. And before you tell me about hexagons on Saturn, I'll tell you this, that maybe possibly there's more of a greater connection to the shapes and that it's not natural. Cymatics is natural, but cymatics requires a power source that's then vibrating. And then that means there's a vibrating power source deep down inside of the Earth. And that proves something else that I said that everybody denied, which was the course of the plasma core of the Earth vibrating. Anyway, I hope you're sufficiently mind-blown by seeing all that. I'm going to incorporate all this into my update, and we'll save it. We will save this back so people can watch it back in the future. The starfort explanation, the ancient plate earthquake explanation. Now, this all ties together in one grand thing that I'm about to tell you, which is wireless power transfer through the plates and through the atmosphere. And that apparently people a long time ago had this down pat. And I mean, they used it. Now, it may have backfired on them. That may be why we have a bunch of ancient, what look like melted or destroyed, blown up structures and missing peoples that are completely gone or vaporized, possibly. Or zapped into another dimension. We'll never know. I joke on that aspect, but I will tell you that they likely had some form of wireless power connected through these plates. And that's what this was all about. Why one is pointing to the other, why they're in those shapes of almost fractal-like shapes of electricity. Fractals is a good explanation for what we were just seeing. We see that shape, that star-like shape, in fractals even. But that would mean a huge power source coming out from somewhere. And then now we know why the three pyramids were worshipped. Each plate, come on, we got three plates, one big, one middle, one tiny. Or three triangles, one big triangle, one little triangle, or one medium-sized triangle and a small triangle. That's the three pyramids. It's just crazy. But it explains why the ancient people worshiped that stuff. But it means they knew about it, which means how did they know about it? That's way high up to go up and see. Unless they built it, in which case they would know about it. They wouldn't have to go up high to see. But it's starting to look like they had some ability to get up pretty high above things to see them ahead. The Dragon Head Fort that I discovered in Scotland next to Loch Ness. How did they know how to build it proper and in proportion? Somebody had to have, maybe they had an old hot air balloon back in the 1600s or 1700s they didn't tell anybody about. Supposition upon supposition. All I can tell you is that these things exist. I'm finding them all over the world, and there's earthquakes tied to each one almost. That's how I'm finding them. It's not like I'm going to look for these. I'm seeing an earthquake next to it, then I say, wait, hold on, what's the symmetrical shape here? Oh, no, another one? And then you find them all over the place, and it's like, wow, they're being powered somehow through power or energy in the plate, and they're reactivating now, maybe. Maybe they've always been active, and that's just why we're getting earthquakes at certain locations. It's all very an intriguing topic to me. I'm not dismissing any of it as chance. No way. Nobody's ever going to convince me it's chance. Once I found the military bases there, that sealed the deal for me. Up until I found the military bases there, I was doubtful myself. I was like, pareidolia, could be seeing things. But then you find the military base and Facebook, Apple data center. Oh my God, let me just slap myself. Seriously, let me facepalm. Seriously. That means Zucky knows, or one of his people know, and they're harvesting free energy out of the plate to use or something. Who knows? Or maybe they just built the data centers there in order to find out what's down inside of the location. They just did that here in St. Louis, actually, with the Geospatial Agency here in St. Louis. There was an ancient bastion fort that was in downtown St. Louis. The Geospatial Agency for the U.S. government just came in and dug the whole thing up and built a spatial agency there right in the middle of it. They said they didn't know that there was any ancient fort there. For real. Just by chance, the Geospatial Agency, who handles all the mapping for the United States, just so happened by chance to pick the Starfort location in North St. Louis to dig up the middle of, to build their agency. But they had to dig in first, of course. That'll give them access to whatever it is down in the plate. So it could very well be there's some form of transit system of some kind that's down there. Some kind of tunnel system or connection somehow, that electrical even, that maybe even wires that could connect between spots. That would be a lot of wire, though. That all being said, somebody's got to look into this more than me. I'm not backing down. This is real. We found this, and there it is. Somebody else is going to have to run with this at some point, figure out what's going on. I'm not traveling the world. Somebody get a hold of L.A. Marzulli, and I'll get a helicopter flight with Steve Quayle. Come pick me up in his chopper. Dude lands in a helicopter in his documentary. I'm like, is this The Matrix? Can you come pick me up, dude? I love Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle, Marzulli, those guys got it. Go check it out. They'll be on top of it at some point. Once everybody figures out that the plates were made a long time ago, it's just going to be a mind blower for everybody. It opens up a whole nother can of worms. Not aliens. No, not aliens. I saw somebody say the aliens thing. Don't you even go there. No, this goes way beyond aliens, guys. This is going to be some kind of creature that was here that was been hidden from us. And it wouldn't be aliens because they actually want us to believe in that crap. So the thing that they've hidden from you is the ancient pre-flood civilization, the hashtag Tartaria mud flood, pre-flood, long skull civilization of some kind that used to live here. The cannibalistic ancient creatures, the monsters that the Bible and the other literature, not just the Bible, other books talk about, ancient books, ancient legends. It could very well be that stuff's true, and that we were lied to. That's actually believable, that we've been lied to and that everything we heard previously was true. Stranger things have happened. All right, let's go ahead and turn off record. Did you enjoy this update? If you liked this update, please subscribe to my channel. Please do all that good stuff. I do want to show you something right before we go. This is my own form of plugging my own merch, if you want to call it that. I have some Dutch Sense merchandise. And let's go ahead and show it to you here on screen, because I think it's pretty cool. It's my own merch, but I actually ordered some. Duchess and I are wearing it. Look at the screen. So we have a few shirts that I think my viewers may be interested in. The Directed Energy Weapons sweatshirt, capturing the beam that I caught, again, live in front of an audience, beaming down into California, causing the fires. The Department of Defense responded to my thing. Okay, we've got those back in stock. But this one right up here, top, front, and center, the green one, comes in red and army green and blue and white. Fort Dragonhead. This is the one I found in Scotland, next to the famous Loch Ness. River Ness comes right out at this bay, and there's this thing. And they said it was in the shape of a star. Everybody for 300 years missed that it was in the shape of a dragon head. And in the snout of the dragon is a church called Garrison Church. And inside of Garrison Church is a giant stained glass of St. George slaying the dragon. And this place is called Fort George. I renamed it Fort Dragonhead because everybody missed for 300 years that it was a dragon head. When I found this and I showed everybody, I got in big trouble. I got shut down live. People told me to drop it and forget about it. My response to that was two things. I'm like, is this like Children of the Corn here or something? Like, you guys got something going on? Like, seriously. You got some weird... Did I just stumble upon like some kind of like place that they all go to? It's like a town secret, right? Some kind of weird stuff going on here. Freaky deaky stuff. I don't know, man. They were upset that I found it though. 300 years next to. You think everybody would be happy? It's freaking Loch Ness. Loch Ness. You find a giant dragon head next to Loch Ness? That's Nessie. This is the hidden serpent. This is the thing that everybody missed. Anyway, next to it, check this one out. This one, I like this one. I'm currently wearing this shirt now. It's just a glitch. It's a giant radar pulse from La Canada, Mexico, next to Mexico City. On this very same day that this happened out of La Canada, Mexico, the coast of Canada, up off the coast of Vancouver, got struck by a rare 7.7 earthquake. And on the east coast of the United States, Hurricane Sandy Frankenstorm made landfall. Same day. First this thing, then the 7.7 earthquake off the coast of Canada, then Hurricane Sandy made landfall, all on the same day. La Canada, Mexico, though, man. Come on. That's freaky. So La Canada, Mexico, radar pulse, then Canada earthquake, then U.S. hurricane. All hit at once. It was a busy day that day. Anyway, you can get this in all different colors if you want it. People were asking for drinkware. We got it. We got the mugs, guys. I got a JFK mug with the JFK weather control quote on it from September 25th, 1961. We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control. President John F. Kennedy, September 25th, 1961, in front of the UN General Assembly. Anyway, it looks great on a mug. Yes. Okay, anyway, enough self-promotion. I got to push it. Who else is going to push it? We have an earthquake forecasting shirt if you want that. If you're into earthquake forecasting, on the back it says Dutch Sense Earthquake Forecasting. On the front, it has my famous arrow map. Speaking of that, let's go wrap this sucker up over here on X. Let's go show you this. Oh, you can see it. Good. If I'm not around in the future to give this to you, here is a link to the Internet Archive for the arrow map, which is now in the Internet Archive forever. It's been in there for a little while. And you can get a full resolution PDF version right here that allows you to zoom in or zoom out. There we go. So there it is. It's available for all you guys if you want it to use or for keepsake. Obviously, it needs safekeeping in case anything ever happens to me. And then down below, I've got a link to go download the graphic for Earthquake 3D. So you can have your own arrow globe. It's a public version. It doesn't look as... It doesn't have the... I'm not using the NOAA map on the public version. So the public version is more of a less detailed map, but it's got all the arrows on it, which is what you need. So there's a public version download if you have the full version of Earthquake 3D that you can download and have the arrow map. And then here's the 2D flat arrow map. You can print it out, save it. Remember this wonderful time that we've all been alive and around together, that I got to share all this shit with you. Pardon my language. It's been a real joy. It's been a real joy bringing this crap to you guys. Let me tell you what, man. If you knew what happened. God, if you only knew what happened today. I'm not even going to complain about it. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it even if I told you. You try to write it off as some natural occurrence or something. Or chance. Did I say we were going to go over the weather? We'll do that after I finish recording here. And then we'll do a live update on the weather next. You guys be safe. Word up and much love. Don't be scared. Be prepared. You got the real deal from me here. This is not the most polished update that I've ever done. Sometimes I keep it very succinct. Other times I've got to explain stuff. The starforts need explaining. Especially with the earthquakes that could be coming into Europe, for instance. Why is it directing it to Campi Flegrei? Maybe why Campi Flegrei is there to begin with. Might be why Yellowstone's there to begin with. What are the chances that there's supervolcanoes next to the tip or the side of each one of these? Anyway. Much love, guys. Peace out.